Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Formula Alliance, I would like to welcome you to today's learning session. We're going to be recording today's session, which will go up on the FMA's YouTube channel. If you know someone who couldn't make it today or would benefit from hearing from today's discussion, please share the link with them when it is available. My name is Tim O'Farrell. I'm the General Manager here at the Formula Alliance, joined today by Jen Munt, our Education and Workforce Director.
Thanks for the introduction, Tim. As many of you know, the FMA published a white paper in fall 2020 about the top 5 challenges in securing a cybersecurity IT workforce pipeline. We convened working groups this past spring and then held a public forum to discuss the findings of the paper and of our working groups. During the forum, we heard about the many existing programs and efforts to fill the cyber pipeline, as well as areas where gaps still exist. Our goal is to foster ideas on where we might fill those gaps. First, though, we need to learn about existing efforts in our region. Today, we kick off the first session of a 3-part learning series created to address the continuing challenges industry and education face in creating meaningful pathways to careers in cybersecurity and IT. Throughout the series, we're going to hear from practitioners about the work they're doing, the best practices they implement, and the ongoing challenges they face. Our session today focuses on work-based learning opportunities and aims to answer the question, how can industry and others offer work-based learning opportunities to students? We have heard that small businesses in particular feel they do not have the capacity, capability, and type of work to provide the experience needed by the customer, and that they're forced to hire only those with existing experience. This seems to create an endless cycle in which most cyber and IT positions, even those at the entry level, require at least 1 to 3 years of experience, leaving few opportunities for folks to break into the industry.
Today, we'll hear from 3 organizations that have found success in offering work-based learning opportunities to those seeking to develop experience for a cyber or IT job. We're joined today by Mina Wu, the Associate Vice President, Continuing Education and Workforce Development at Howard Community College, Chioma Obi, Cybersecurity and IT Talent Consultant with the Anne Arundel Workforce Development Corporation, and Kathy Francois, Assistant Director of Career Programming with the University of Maryland Global Campus's Career Services Office.
We're going to start with each of our panelists giving their brief elevator pitch about the programs they're here to speak about today. Mina, I understand that you're going to share some information about HCC's apprenticeship programs. Could you kick us off?
Yes, thank you, Jen and Tim, for inviting us to present on our program. So at Howard Community College, we offer 6 apprenticeship programs in 11 occupations. Apprenticeship is an industry-driven, high-quality career pathway in which employers develop and prepare future workforce and talent. Individuals participating in the apprenticeship program can obtain a paid work experience with progressive wages, classroom instruction, and portable credential that is nationally recognized by the U.S. Department of Labor. For the purpose of our discussion today, I will introduce just 2 of those programs. One is information technology. We partner with AT&T Communications and SDTIT to offer apprenticeships in 4 occupations: IT Field Support Specialist, Network Field Support Specialist, Information System Security Engineer, and Linux System Administrator. This IT apprenticeship program also integrates a unique security clearance component that grants students the opportunity to attain a high-level federal security clearance. Apprentices in this program earn college credits along with industry certifications such as CompTIA A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus, along with on-the-job training hours. The first cohort of 21 students began in January 2020, and enrollment has increased by 64% as of this fall. A second program I would like to introduce is software development. We partner with New Wave Technologies to offer 3 software development occupations: data warehousing specialist, software developer applications, and computer systems engineer. Apprentices in this program earn college credits along with industry certifications in Microsoft Azure. The first cohort of 5 students began in January 2021. I'm often asked, why apprenticeships? As a person charged with workforce development at the college and in the community, I often spoke with employers who lamented on the difficulties they face in hiring and retaining qualified employees, especially in the IT and cyber sectors. Also, we noticed an increasing trend of our students who were going to school part-time because they needed to work in order to finance their education. Apprenticeship was a win-win solution for both our students and the employers. By investing in their workforce early on, training them exactly the way they needed them trained, with a guaranteed commitment from students to stay with the employer for X number of years upon completion, employers can depend on a strong, trained employee pipeline. Students gain the valuable, paid hands-on experience while going to school. As we begin to see the students and employers reaping the benefits of the apprenticeship program, I am even more convinced that scaling apprenticeships can be an innovative and powerful solution to today's workforce shortage.
Thank you, Mina, for the introduction to your apprenticeship program. Next up, we're going to hear from Chioma, who will briefly discuss AWDC's efforts to provide work-based learning opportunities.
So thank you for having me on this panel. So we at AWDC, we are a nonprofit. We offer innovative, high quality workforce solutions to businesses. Currently, we are in the space of doing lots of work-based learning, which we call Work and Learn, WAL. We also do OJT, on-the-job trainings in different categories. We've partnered with a lot of businesses, cyber businesses and IT businesses as well, to be able to merge students even into this work-based learning, which we call Work and Learn. They are able to do a 400-hour Work and Learn, which is completely paid by us. We offer them a stipend. That way, the businesses are able to focus on what really matters, giving these individuals the skills that they need to be able to get into that next workplace that they want to do. We offer OJT, which would be anytime a business comes to us and decides to partner with us in increasing their talent pipeline, we can work around with their negotiation with their salaries and all those kind of fun stuff. We've worked with businesses in the past, especially cyber businesses, to train SOC analysts. So these individuals are people that may not even have any form of IT cyber background. They come to us, we merge them with businesses that train them, give them both the hard skills and the soft skills needed, and actually hire them after the Work and Learn experience. So currently what we are doing more in AWDC is taking individuals into a work-based learning or a Work and Learn and then having them get hired. So far, we've been using the EARN grant, the WIOA grant. We've successfully placed close to, I would say, almost 100 people, at least since I started this role during the start of COVID. And these are salaries we're looking at 52,000, 60,000 a year, 70,000 a year with full benefits. We are also working currently to become a sponsor of a registered apprenticeship program, one of its kind in the state and maybe in the country. And we are really hoping to do what Mina is doing shortly, because we really believe in apprenticeship. That's the way to go. I am an advocate for it. I'm going to fight for it. And hopefully we'll come back into this forum to tell you guys that we have become approved to be a sponsor and to do great works as others are doing, even more than what we're doing right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Chioma. Finally, Kathy is going to share a bit with us about UMGC's Internplus program, as well as opportunities to earn credits for work-based learning experiences.
Hi, I am the Assistant Director for University of Maryland Global Campus. We are the working adult online provider of education here for the state of Maryland, and also have operations in 20 plus countries around the world, and 20 plus countries at military installations around the world. Many of our students are military affiliated, whether they are active duty military, transitioning veterans, military spouses, and dependents. For Internplus, we offer a variety of pathways for students to gain experience, not only while they're in school, or career launching opportunities upon graduation. In terms of students on the undergraduate level earning credit, they work with our workforce planning department to earn credits. For Internplus, those experiences focus more so on the plus side than traditional internships. So that could be a variety of different micro internships where students work on a project that may take anywhere from 10 to 40 hours to complete. Also, it may include remote work opportunities as well for students that may not be able to do a traditional internship during the summer.
Thank you, Kathy. We have a number of questions for the panel about the successes and challenges you have faced along the way. But I want to invite the attendees today to submit questions via the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen in the Zoom controls. We'll be sure to address some of those questions as we get towards the end. Jen Munt will be monitoring the Q&A and helping us make sure that we get your questions in. But I want to start off, and I want to throw it off to the three of you. Obviously, experience is important. Every employer knows that. You know that. But what are the benefits or the drawbacks that you're seeing in the current model or resistance from employers into partnering in a work-based learning opportunity rather than them saying, you know what, I'll hire them and train them myself? So I see you shaking your head vigorously, Mina, so I'll start with you.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, we see the value of workplace learning, especially because of the shortage and the need that we have in IT sector. We've seen many students with master's degree and no work experience who are unable to find jobs in the field of cybersecurity. And we're seeing that the critical element of job readiness is work experience. It's based on the rapid pace of change and advances in technology. Students can no longer wait to get their hands-on experience until they're finished because their classroom learning quickly becomes irrelevant. However, as you said, there may be some resistance or some drawbacks to work-based learning, especially from the employer standpoint, because they're just so busy and they're already strapped for a workforce because they have trouble hiring. However, we found that when you incorporate work-based learning into part of your mentorship or training of the new workforce, that it typically provides a strong return on investment. It lowers the cost of recruitment and increases retention. And you are guaranteed that you'll have the students and the employees that will fit your workplace needs if you invest early on.
So can I, so some of the drawbacks we've seen with businesses we've talked about is like businesses may not want to bring in participants except they are paid. So that's one of the things that we are seeing. And then one of the ways we at Awdc has been able to mitigate that is to offer the interns a stipend. Due to moral standing, most businesses don't want to see that, someone to come in and work for free, if you will, in their organization. So they're kind of weary about that. Another thing that we are seeing is the lack of mentorship, as Mina just talked about. And so we try to work with the business to see how, if there's anyone on their team that may be less busy, to be able to help these individuals that are coming. The other thing that we are seeing is the structure, if you will. So participants coming into a workplace, a work-based learning, what are the skills that they need? We sit with the business, we sit with the individuals, we draw up like a T-chart, basically what are the skills that they're lacking, what are the skills that they need, and kind of draw up a timetable, like make it time-based. That way the business understands and the individual themselves do understand that, this is where they have to be at every given point in time. It kind of streamlines the process so that these individuals are not just going in there blindly, and even the business themselves looking at, okay, what are we doing with these individuals that are in our team? So those are some of the challenges I would say. And of course, time constraints. We offer 400 hours to our interns. Sometimes we have to work it out with the business in the sense that maybe it's going to be part-time or full-time. Sometimes there will be these gaps in between. They have the school components to it. The individuals may be in school, so we have to work around that with their schoolwork and the business needs, to bring these individuals. But we have businesses that really want to do this work-based learning and give people a chance. But these things are what may be holding them, and we've tried to address that at AWDC.
And I'll respond in terms of the benefits of having a program, especially for a smaller company that may not be as well known. You're building that brand affinity while the future workforce is a student. What I may find, especially in career services, recent grad students, they're looking for the Googles of the big federal contractors that everyone is after. But if you're a smaller organization, and you're able to offer an opportunity, while before a candidate graduates, you're able to help build that brand affinity, build more awareness of who you are as an organization, and potentially identify talent well early in the process. So I think early talent, especially for smaller organization, from a brand building perspective, is a great benefit.
I think this community is pretty good about trying to find ways to put themselves out with their brand, but timing, compensation, and ease of working with these programs is something all three of you have mentioned. So if I'm a larger company and I have thousands of employers, I might have an HR department that focuses purely on programs like what you are offering. But how does it become accessible for a smaller company? Is there a way for 3 small companies to come together and partner? Or what are you seeing out in the marketplace that, a 10-person to a 50-person shop is really doing well working with your organizations?
I would say the smaller organizations, there is this closeness, we are able to, and the individuals are able to get responses quickly. There is no red tape, all those hoops to jump, for them to get into a particular department. If they have to switch departments within an organization, it's not as, stressful as the larger organizations. Getting their timesheets and all those little details are easier, if I would say, within a smaller organization. And then we have the ability at AWDC to kind of help them, wherever that we can pitch into, versus the larger ones, they have their own ways of doing things. It's not something we can swoop in and change X, Y, Z. I think that's what my take would be.
I'd like to share an example of one of the partnerships that we fostered. So as I mentioned earlier, our AT&T apprenticeship does come with a security clearance, which means that they only have limited amount of work that is in the unclear space that our apprentices can do while they're waiting for the security clearance to come through. So one of the things they did was they brought on their subcontractor, SDDIT, who had more work in the unclear space in order to provide more work experience in the field. So partnerships among small businesses can really help extend their resources further. However, I do recognize that small businesses are extremely busy and they might not have the time to devote in seeking partnerships. So on that, I suggest utilizing intermediaries such as Formula Alliance or your community colleges to play that role. At the present time, there are a variety of significant funding sources that are out there for especially small companies utilizing apprenticeships at the state and at national levels that can cover nearly all the on-the-job training costs for the employers. So I think Tim, you're absolutely right. It's harder for small companies to take advantage of these resources, but partnerships and partnering with people who can play the middle role will really help them expand the opportunities.
I wanted to add one of the things that we offer through a partnership through Parker Dewey is micro internships. So a smaller company can bring on a student through Parker Dewey on a 1099. So they don't have that risk of a staff. Create either, and they already have a set of small projects that you can purchase for someone to take on that project, or create your own custom project. And that would be one way on a shorter term and low cost way to vet potential candidates that could potentially be a good fit for your organization.
Yeah, we've been looking at the Parker Dewey model. It's very impressive. One of the things that we always want to help our businesses understand, there's multiple ways to touch the potential candidates that are in the learning process with your organizations. There are your straight up internships, which have been around for decades, which everyone knows, whether they're free or paid. Choma, as you mentioned, where you can help or helped paid by an organization such as yours. But there's also project-based learning opportunities where they can actually do sort of a micro internship with a group of students. You sort of test out multiple students at one time. And if you're a savvy employer, your mentorship obligation isn't as significant as it is, would it be in your traditional intern. Could you talk about how they might, those kind of activities plug in with any of your academic programs you may have? I look to you, Mina and Kathy, about, the different types of way they're engaging with your students that they may not be aware of as a business trying to build a pipeline.
I can begin. There are various ways to engage with the Howard Community College, which I represent, but many of the community colleges that the companies represented here might reside in. First of all, a best way to actually get very close to the students is becoming an adjunct faculty. We're always in need, and we're looking for faculty who are actually practicing so that our students can learn the latest and the best things that are going on. And we often find that adjunct faculty who come in and teach those classes can pick out the students they really like and then provide the internship or opportunities or even employment. So that's one way. We do have project-based learning where you can come in with like a co-op idea, or we've had hackathons and we've hosted different events, and you can sponsor those events and come in with a real life problem or a fiction problem and really see those students work together. Apprenticeship that I mentioned is a great way because our apprentices go through a very strict screening process. So the first screening process is the application and the interest of what they want and how they want to do it. The second process is we do a interview with the employer, the school, and the student to see who's the good fit. And the final second interview is they come in and they work on a project, and the employers get to see how they work with each other, how they approach problem solving, and then offer the position at the end. So there are various ways where you can get involved with the college as well as be introduced to students and your future employees.
Thank you, Kathy.
And for us, given that we're online, our students live virtually. So we offer a variety of different virtual programs where employers can engage. One is our platform, Career Quest, which is more than just a job board. It is really where we live online, and students complete profiles where they can, feature their work experience, they can feature their internships. Employers have the opportunity to do a search and directly engage with the students on the platform. We also house various related clubs like our computing club as well. So just a different way on a more personal level. We also engage with students in terms of our career development webinars, where we often invite employers to come in as a host, or even part of our recruiting session prep. We offer employers to come in as a guest to offer their expertise, to give them insight as far as, how can a student start in a cybersecurity career, or even upping their interview skills, et cetera.
So all three of you talked about great programs. You're trying to solve the problem. But you wouldn't be here talking today if you figured it out. So completely, right? You're also here hopefully to one, make connections, but also learn yourselves. And so what's your biggest challenge? You've essentially got great product, you've got program that's out there. What is the biggest problem challenge you have in making this successful to the level that you guys think it could make a meaningful impact to the pipeline challenge?
So let me go. It's a big question. So I would say one of our challenges would be to get businesses to buy into, to give the opportunity to our participants, you know, especially people that are very green, people that are career changers, you know, trying to get them to bring them in as an intern or a work-based learning. It's something that sometimes we struggle with. Of course, we all know that the IT cyber world is a little bit different from every other industry. They have the clearance piece there and the other little things. They need people to come in and hit the ground running. Sometimes that is not always the case. I think that would be one of our challenges. And I could think about more later on. But I would say that would be one of the challenges that we face, trying to get businesses, and I hope there are businesses listening to us saying, we have participants that are doing very well. Some of them is all in paper, yes, it's academics, but they can translate those skills to real life skills. We want them to give these individuals an opportunity to show what they're really made of. So, and then we can always help. We don't want to, we're not throwing them into these opportunities very green. We are doing our own due diligence. We're reading job descriptions. We are having training, different training providers in-house and outside, making sure that these individuals are being trained to the specification of that company. We are making sure all our trainings right now has a hands-on component, a simulation, something, so that when these people are coming out, they're not really coming out saying, hey, I know security plus, or I know this and that. They are actually coming out with projects, real life projects from our training providers, you know, and even soft skills. We have our workplace excellence. So we're not throwing people in that don't understand what has happened or what happens in the workplace. So I would say businesses, getting enough businesses. We do have people, but we want to expand more, especially as we're going into the apprenticeship phase right now. We really want more people to come and be part of what AWDC is doing in this space.
Yeah, and I'd like to expand on what Chioma said about employers. I think the workforce shortage, especially in the field of cybersecurity, has been around for a while and is projected to grow. And the traditional way of recruiting and hiring and retaining those employees when the shortage continues to grow is not going to be sufficient. So it really requires employers and partners to think outside the box. So, you know, increase partnerships and putting resources in new concepts such as apprenticeship or work-based learning, which does require resources. And I know these companies are running 1,000 miles an hour, and they sometimes need to slow down in order to do that. But I think looking at innovative solutions, outside the box solutions to fill that pipeline to eventually to lessen the shortages that are out there. Another challenge I found was managing expectations. Education and industry, they often don't work on the same schedule and they speak a different language. So we've learned that putting the time and resources early on in the process to understand expectations and requirements of each other to help manage them and be proactive in those challenges would be important. And finally, I just wanted to add that mentorship takes time. And somebody to devote extra time when they could be working on projects to devote to this future workforce, that is an investment. But I wanted to say that that investment is really worth the return. because of, several things we found. Not only do you have a trained workforce that could come into your business and work, hit the ground running, but also we found the byproduct of mentorship avoiding or preventing brain drain. So we've heard of a lot of people, these senior professionals who have been in the industry for a very long time, and when they leave or retire, they take all that knowledge and skill and experience with them. But when companies strategically use internships and mentorships as part of their recruiting pipeline, what you do is that you encourage a brain dump from that highly trained, skilled individual into a future workforce. So I think there are multiple benefits that would be worth the investment.
And I would say the I think overarching theme is lack of flexibility from an employer. I think it's the greatest challenge, especially with the population at UMGC. As of fall of 2019, 74% are working full time and going to school. And if you have a student that's a full-time worker, although they may be in the entry level, maybe they might be a career transitioner, and they have bills to pay. So they're not going to leave their job full time. They may have a full-time job for a temporary internship opportunity, unless it's something that could be remote, that's flexible, maybe a short-term project. Or if they're early enough in their career, they could make that transition maybe to a full-time apprenticeship or even a career launch opportunity that has a decent competitive salary. So those are some of the reasons. So the talent is here, but oftentimes the internships program are so traditionally designed for that traditional college student. And then you have an issue with also there's a lack of diversity in the pipeline as well, because it doesn't fit. And I would say the pandemic actually opened up the eyes of employers to be a lot more flexible. So I think now is a great time to really take advantage of this opportunity. Although many employers had to do it under duress, but maybe take this advantage of opportunity of looking at opportunities differently outside of what we've been doing for decades.
The pandemic has forced us to take a look at things a lot differently. And Mina, I want to touch on something. I had a conversation with an employer on Friday who one of the surprises to their own effort, they had a very unique model of reaching into schools and finding talent. But the number one thing they didn't plan on that they gained was the mentors were reinvigorated in their own jobs. There was the benefit, the plus that their own employees, existing employees, receive from being a part of this program. So we're going to get to how they can connect to your organizations better, and we'll want to walk a little bit through it. But before we get there, you have these students, you're training them with various different partners or yourselves, you have them in a curriculum. How are you ensuring that it's the right skills that you're teaching within these programs that these employers are going to want to have?
So I would start. I think what we do, not even I think, what we do is we have when we're talking with the business initially, we're asking them for the skills that they are looking for. And we are looking at what the participants themselves have. It's almost like a T chart, if you will. And then we are saying to the businesses and to the individuals, how can they get these skills? Sometimes even within that internship, almost as like an apprenticeship model, whereby they are going back into school or formal or informal kind of training, and as well as getting back into the job. That's something that we try to do so that we're not sending them empty-handed, if you will, without any backup. The business wants them to learn these programming skills. They don't have it. We're putting them back to school, and then they are going back to that business, so we're working on that flexibility as well, making sure that these two are going hand in hand. I think that's what we do We are also work with different community colleges and businesses to kind of revamp the curriculum, because that's important. Nina mentioned it, that there's this disconnect. You don't speak the same language. So if we've done that in the past, even with health IT, speaking to businesses and saying to them, hey, what do you want these people that are coming into your group, into your company to look like? Huge hospital systems, and they're giving us a list. And then we're sitting back with the community colleges, or sitting back with training vendors, and we're saying to them, this is what the business is saying. This is what they want to see. So it's just a multi-fold approach, that we kind of employ when trying to go into this kind of trainings with businesses and the interns as well.
And I'd like to add that I think the relevance of our curriculum is one of the utmost important things that we have to focus on. And to do that, we do a program review each year, and we also bring in advisory group members who come in and they provide us that feedback. They look at our curriculum and they say, you're going the right direction. Here are some of the things that are changing. These are where we're going in the future. So they also do that. Every 5 years, we do a strategic planning where we invite the leaders, the thought leaders of each of the areas to come and provide that insight. I keep going back to apprenticeship, and I do that because I believe in it so much.
Yes.
But the beauty of apprenticeship is that you can really customize that training. So when we work with companies and they say, I would like to, start an apprenticeship program with you, what we do is we sit down and do a discovery session. We don't rebuild everything because we have the curriculum both in the non-credit short-term side as well as the credit degrees and certificate side, to say here are all the things that we teach, and we can customize that. So people can say, we really need XYZ skills. Here are the courses that fulfill those XYZ skills, and wherever we need, we develop additional curriculum, which is what we did with New Wave, where we developed curriculum in Azure to be able to meet them. So you can really ensure that the people you are getting into those apprenticeship programs will get the classroom knowledge that you need and the hands-on experience to mirror what they're learning in the classroom.
Kathy, you want to touch on UMGC and how you?
Yes, I mean, we definitely do program reviews, so I won't go too much into that. But the majority of our faculty are adjunct and that are practitioners in their field. So they're not only getting the curriculum that's set, but also from the real world purview. That real world faculty mentorship plays a big role. Our cybersecurity program in particular is nationally recognized, have gotten accolades in terms of the level of quality. But outside of apprenticeships, another thing that we have done is partner with staffing agencies like Talent Path and Reverture that work with employers that fill in that gap between the education and the training for a particular employer. And the staffing agency, they take on a recent grad as an employee. And once they complete their training, then they deploy to the client site. So that's another thing that businesses, they can partner with staffing agencies such as them if they have any specialized training needs.
Okay, let me build on this question. I strategically asked you that question first because there's always this one thing in this marketplace more than most that hangs over, and that is the security clearance issue. And we can't tackle that today. And you may have some innovative ways to build and work through the security clearance pipeline. But I'd like us to really talk about models and ways you're seeing businesses work with you right now that are in these cleared spaces, but don't have that. They've worked around that obstacle. They're not, for example, they're putting with another customer, or they're having different types of work. What programs you're seeing out there that if I'm a company that says, okay, all right, I'll buy in, I'm going to start thinking about doing an apprenticeship. What would it look like? Talk to me about what you're seeing from your business customers out there that you're working with. You're connecting your students.
I'll jump in if I may. So I think this is a question that we often get, and it's a frustration point and pain point of a lot of our employers. So they recruit people who are highly qualified, and they hire them, and then they sort of sit around for 9 months or 18 months waiting for that security clearance to come through, and they don't have a lot of work, and they're getting paid at a very high competitive salary doing that. And apprenticeship is a creative solution to, it won't offset all of those needs, but creative solution to expand the pipeline so it could alleviate some of that pain. And we do that by front loading a lot of the education piece. So it's companies, when they hire apprentices, they hire them on the potential, right? So the potential of them being clear, potential of them as a employee, the potential of them culturally fitting into the corporation or the company, and to what Kathy said, increasing the diversity, equity, and inclusion, because you're now opening doors for people who did not previously have access to some of these white-collar, high-skilled jobs. And what they're doing is, as soon as they start, they can start the clearance process, and as they're waiting, they can be educated, they can front load that educational piece so that by the time they are cleared, they have a lot of that education under their belt and a hands-on experience in an unclear space that could be transitioned into the clear space. So I see this as a huge time-saving initiative that employers can consider.
One of the things, one of the reasons why many employers come to us is for our military students who may already have security clearances, although their military occupation may not be related to the cyberspace. And so it's like a win-win for the student who's interested in keeping that clearance outside. And so as they're transitioning, I think I guess the challenge is finding the right point when they're actually going to transition, right? In terms of timing. What employers can take advantage of is the DoD Skill Bridge program, where they don't have to pay an employer for an opportunity. The military will pay as for those who are transitioning. And I have seen a couple of students use that Skill Bridge program where they're still getting paid as they transition, and they can go to a private employer to get the experience that they need as they transition. So it's a win-win. The employer doesn't necessarily have to give any monetary contribution, just the time to mentor the student and help them transition. So if you have a candidate that already has a security clearance, that's a great way to help bridge the gap.
So for us, what we've done to assist with this problem is to offer strategic recruitment. We did one recently with S4, and we were able to attract talent, Colorado, Delaware, within our state, and they were very happy with that. So we want to continue to have conversations with businesses and just to understand and to see how we can also help with this clearance space. But one of the ways we are doing right now is to attract these talents to the businesses through different platforms that we use.
Okay. So Formula Alliance, we took a look at this problem a couple of years ago and have been at the breadth of the pipeline issue. Work-based learning experiences was a critical finding that we needed to address. You're producing a pipeline of workers. What should an organization like ours, which represents both the providers, the end users, the customer, and the region as a whole, where would you like to see efforts made or focused on that would help you complete your mission even more?
I think you addressed it in one of your questions before, and there's a question in the queue that speaks to this. I think our small businesses, they need to recruit talent, but they are also wearing so many multiple hats. And I think what 4-Meter Alliance can do for businesses as well as the training providers is to play that intermediary role. If you see people, 5 small businesses in the same sector or same field with a similar need, you can be that intermediary to say, hey, instead of you all trying to reinvent your wheel and or you all trying to create your mentorship programs, why don't you join your efforts and have this one adopt one mentee that could get 5 different experiences, or share one apprentice that could, work on multiple projects. So I think there are ways that, you are connected to the businesses and you hear their need. You can bring those people together with similar needs and bring us in as your partners in doing that.
So yes, it's you're already doing that. You're like a connector, if you will, between different parts, industry, and the businesses, and being our voice out there to say to the businesses, hey, let's build instead of buying talent. That's what we really want to do in the workforce in AWDC. We want to assist you with building up your talent and making sure that they're a cultural fit for what you have. So you have been doing that. So I would just say that continue that effort, trying to bring us into these conversations, into these talks with industries, and we'll definitely, be happy, because we really want to grow this economy. We want to have our people around us have this experience, to have a diverse pool of people, to be innovative. We can't do that if we are not looking at the bigger picture and bringing everyone together on the table.
I think conversations like this is a great start, right? Part of the reasons why we're talking today, but actually, reaching out to your partners, your university partners, to start having a dialogue that's more, that's less reactionary. I think for the most part, when we see employers, it's more reactionary instead of being proactive and thinking about, okay, what are some ways that we can get into the classroom, or what are some ways we can partner in your career programming, development programming. So I think this is just one of many steps, and just having conversation, or what resources that I may already have or know about that you can tap into as an employer. One program that came to mind is for those that may have businesses or offices in Maryland, it's the Maryland Technology Internship Program, known as MTIP. It's a state funded program to help mitigate the brain drain that we talked about earlier, where the state will offer a subsidy for you to bring on an intern, a paid internship. So you make that initial investment and you'll get some of that money back by way of a grant that's managed through UMBC, but it's available to anyone that has operations in the state of Maryland that's looking to hire a tech intern with any type of technology internship.
Thank you. You've all touched on the depth and breadth of what your organizations are doing to solve this problem. And I've done my best to try to capture the Q&A questions already in these. So I do want to just take a moment and before I go in and thank you for your time, I want to share with the audience a little bit about what the 4-Meter Alliance is doing with all of your organizations currently. We do have our FMA Academy, which is good for your in-training programs, but we're doing programs such as STEM Core, Bridges, which is at the high school level, which we partner with AWDC on, through STEM Core, which we do have at the community college, which has internship programs. As an organization, what we're trying to do is make it as easy for this community here to connect into the breadth of what you guys offer. We have internships. Jen, right now, if you contacted Jen today, she has great talent that we need to place by next summer. And we know this is the time of year to start thinking about it. We may not be able to identify the talent for a couple more weeks as we're recruiting. This is also a recruiting period, but we have efforts that we're really trying to build that pipeline. And we would love to bolster that as much as possible and make it more as successful as possible. But if one of our audience members is on with us today, or is going to watch, hopefully go to our YouTube channel later and watch this on their free time, how could you walk them through how they connect with the organization? From everything from being, I heard you mention adjunct professor, which I know you need more of that talent, to we could use one of your talented students or one of your clients. How does that work? And I'll start with you, Chioma. If you could just talk about how they can connect with AWDC to learn more about everything from connecting to organizations to how you connect them with tax credits and everything else that you've mentioned.
Can I just add to that? Sorry, can I just add to that? If you are, it would be great if you're each able to also talk to, if you are a student or intern candidate, or someone who wants to get involved in one of these programs, how do you do that as well?
Okay. So one of the things that we have a process, one of it is we ask our participants to, if it's for the students, they attend an info session and they fill out a job form whereby they put their information, demographics, and upload some documents. They are able to, they're now matched with a career coach. And then after that, they come to someone like me, whereby I'll start working with them to either get them into a work-based learning, upskill their existing skills, and even to connect them with businesses for a direct hire. We have a website which I can drop in the chat where they can connect with us directly. There are many, because AWDC is not just industry solutions. We have the business side of the house, but anyone connecting through this email will be able to send them to the appropriate place. We have those JWA people that handle anyone that has that wants to get into any form of assistance, any kind of supportive services. So we're a huge organization, but I think sending an email or sending, just reaching out to us through this email, I'll be able to connect that person to the right source where they need to be at. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
And Kathy, I'll start with you next.
So if anyone would like to learn more about what we do, you can email me at internplus@umgc.edu. I'm going to go ahead and enter that into the chat. We partner with multiple employers and offer a variety of opportunities, so we don't have a linear pathway. We are extremely flexible in working with employers. We try to remove as many barriers as possible. So it's more on a case-by-case basis. Based on what the employer needs, we can talk about a variety of options. So feel free to email me. That will come directly to me, and we can talk about different ways you can take advantage of early career talent.
Great. And Mina.
Yes, I'll also drop 2 emails in the chat. One is directly to me, and you can email, and I will connect you to the right person. Thanks to Jen, she did put Dr. Valdivia's email earlier in the chat. If you are interested in becoming adjunct faculty, you can certainly reach out to him directly, or if you email me, I'll make sure that you get connected to the right person. We're always looking for employer partners. The amount to which we can scale up our apprenticeship is the employer engagement that we have. Just to give you some of the numbers in perspective, when we first had our 21 apprentices for AT&T, our first cohort, we had an application period of 2 weeks, and we got over 100 applications. So we have a lot of people who are interested in jumping in the field, and had we had more employers, I think we would have been able to place even more. So we're always looking. Feel free to reach out to me directly, or the apprentice at howardcc.edu. That's for both students as well as employers.
All right, thank you. And thank all three of you for spending some time with us this afternoon and for your organization's efforts to help us solve the pipeline issues that we're all facing. Kathy, Mina, Chioma, we really appreciate you spending the lunch hour with us. And we wish you much success in your efforts to work to solve these problems.
So much for having
Thank
this
you for having
us.
opportunity to share.